morning. Welcome to AVNewsCast.com. Oops.
Good morning.
Keep the music a little hard there, but hey.
How are you? I don't, okay, there we are. Okay, you know what? Everyone gets to see who we're in studio with right away.
Right away.
We have Charmaine Vega, and she's a color-nutritionist.
Correct.
And food specialist.
And learning specialist.
And learning specialist. I'm sorry. I was so trying to get the term that you coined right that I messed up on the last part of it. Well, anyway, as you can see that we don't have we don't have Steve with us today because he's serving on the Palmdale School Board and he has a meeting this morning. So we wanted to talk to Charmaine before. We had mentioned her on the show, and so we were lucky enough to be able to pull her in. So we want to get all that information from you, Charmaine, and thank you for coming in. I know it's early, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, it is early.
So Charmaine Vega.
Yes.
How did you get into, what is a colon-nutritionist? And I want to keep saying colon.
Colon. It's not colon.
Colon.
It's not the colon. It's not the colon. Colon. Okay.
It's color-nutritionist, and it's a word I trademarked.
Oh.
And what that is, it's a culinary nutritionist.
Oh.
Okay.
I not only do nutrition because I'm a fourth-generation nutritionist.
Wow.
Going back generations.
So there was no fat people in your family?
I won't say that.
Really?
They weren't fat, but they did have a little bit of weight on them. I do have a sister who's actually diagnosed with diabetes and actually has gone into diabetic coma a couple of times as well, which is one of the impetus behind me doing this. But growing up, my grandmother was Navajo, and she was what you call a fire talker, where she could actually talk fire. What it is like the laying of hands. You hear about laying of hands,
yes.
But in the Navajo tradition, if someone is sick, you can actually lay hands. They talk about talking fire out or getting sickness out of the body. It's another whole thing. Well, that thing has been handed down to my mother, to me as well.
Can she help me with my ear?
She probably can. We'll place that call later. My mother is still alive. She's 82, and my mother is a certified herbologist. And she works with doctors and massage people and that type of stuff. And she creates a whole line of oils, herbs, everything, including growing them. She gets them as far away as Siberia.
Wow.
So she's very much into that, has been for probably over 40 years doing it as a business. And she's also a hematologist. So she understands the blood and the body and how it works. Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you, growing up, did you guys rely on penicillin and amoxicillin and those types of things, or did she?
No.
You didn't know?
No. We didn't do any of those things.
Wow.
What we did is something was in the garden. You'd go pick it out of the garden. I have pictures of my grandmother and mother with me, and my brothers sent me this picture when I was little, and they had greens that they had picked out of the garden, and they were just as big as I was because they were organically grown. You know, it wasn't like you have all the chemicals and all that type of stuff. My grandfather was an actual tobacco grower.
Wow.
He
what
was
an interesting family she's got here.
So he was a farmer, and that's what he did. And my father, my biological father, was actually Puerto Rican. So I learned that, and I'm originally from New York, so I learned all of this, but I also lived in the South. And you're from New York,
yes,
too. That's exactly right. So you understand that.
Yeah.
That's a melting pot.
Yeah.
So you learn how to do all the foods and everything, but when I got into nutrition, it was many years later. I didn't realize I would combine that. And I knew just how to do this. My mother was a hematologist at Columbia University.
Nice.
And Presbyterian Hospital is where she was. So she would call me from work and tell me what it was that I needed to make. So there was no cookbook, no anything. It was just her telling me. She'd say, okay, do this, hang up the phone, call me back. Did you do that? Okay, here's the next step. That's how I learned to cook as far as doing those things. When I went to college, I was actually a pre-med major. And then got married. The person I married, he was in the medical profession, decided he wanted to be a doctor, so he recently passed away, which was on Good Friday. And he was a internationally known neurologist, psychologist, and forensic psychiatrist, basically for the government is what he did. And so I have on both sides, so to speak, people who are in that. My daughter is a psychologist down in the Valley.
Nice.
And also at Pepperdine, she's an adjunct professor at Pepperdine. That would be Dr. Brown.
Whoa.
And then my other daughter works for Black Infant Health, and so she also does a lot of stuff with the brain and how it works in
Did you
children.
say Black Infant Health?
Black Infant Health, yes.
Really? What is that?
What is that? That's a nonprofit organization that tries to help women understand what they need to do before the babies are born.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And try to get them into food, nutrition, health, and they bring them in and tell them the various services that are available to them, and they work them through that in conjunction with First 5 LA or First 5. You know, that's a national
Now, do they?
organization as well.
I don't mean to get off
That's
a
okay.
point too much, but that's intriguing to me because Jeff and being on the radio for over a year, I kind of got to the point where I wanted to give back and become a resource parent.
Okay.
Jeff has adopted 2 children already.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Twins
wonderful.
at that,
Okay.
yeah. And so we talk about the need for people becoming resource parents, and I'm going through the classes to be certified. I actually graduate on Thursday. Yes. And one of the things that I found in the class is that people need to go through parenting classes. So when you mention that is what your daughter does, do they also offer parenting classes
Yes,
for these
they do.
women? That
They offer parenting classes. There's a whole, and there is Black Infant Health up here too.
Oh, wow.
It's actually near Avenue I and 10th Street.
That should be mandated.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I mean,
agree
it
with
should
you.
be, especially, and I don't mean to get off point.
That's okay, that's
but
okay.
especially if you're on the welfare system, you should be mandated to take those classes.
I agree, because it's in the parenting classes and things, they also try to bring in other resources, nutrition, this, that, to tell people what to do as a part of it. Discipline, you know, as a special education teacher, I not only do nutrition, but I use behavior modification on adults too.
Yes, yeah, and we need that. Don't we, Jeff?
4 ounces of wine.
Yes.
Yes, 4 ounces?
Just only 4 ounces.
I mean, I could get so much better if I had 8.
No. I'm sure you would think you're feeling better, but all you need is 4 ounces for that little, headache that you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the things that I did, and then I segued into education, because my ex, he was a doctor, and I was like, well, if you have children, that's not going to give them any time. So I did that. I did a lot of stuff with the Mayo Clinic because I was in Minnesota. I ended up leaving Boston University. Then I went to University of Iowa, Minnesota, places like that, and worked with doctors and things. But I was trying to figure out, now, how do I fit in? Because he's in medical school at the time, and I was a teacher, and none of the other wives worked. I was the only wife who was working. So I said, well, food is the universal language, so let me start. So I started a gourmet club and figured out that I had a knack for doing it. And then through my mother, my grandmother, and my heritage, I started understanding how food and nutrition and the herbs and what it actually did.
Okay.
And then I applied, and then I started a salsa company, which is what most of the people here locally know.
Yeah,
me as
Mama Vega.
Mama Vega Salsa.
Right.
I started the salsa company and was doing that, and then I worked for Kaiser. I ran the hospital cafeteria, and people liked the food that I was making, and they were like, well, why does your food taste so different? I was like, oh, I don't know. I was just doing what I
You're being modest. You knew. You knew.
So then I started actually doing the research, and in doing the research, I understood the chemicals behind food, what it was doing to the brain, how it was inhibiting neurons, and then I decided what I was going to do is apply it. But in a part of applying that was how I did the salsa company, which was when I was with La Cañada. I taught in La Cañada, and that was where the Mama Vega name came from. My students used to call me Mama Vega because I would not send them to the principal. I would call their mother.
Right. Right. Well,
I knew the principal would just, or the secretary would just have them sit in the office.
Yeah.
Mama wasn't going to take that.
You weren't playing.
So then in doing all of this and putting all these things together, I decided, how do I now get it to the masses? Because I was only dealing with the small population that I was dealing with. And decided to start a company, which was the salsa company. But from that, I branched out with the food and nutrition. So now I have 2 companies.
Now, what's the tie-in? Because that's the intriguing part to me. Because it's like, like if I have memory issues, and I want to combat that, and I don't want to do ginkgo biloba because I'm going to forget to take it anyway in the morning because I got the memory issues.
Right.
What is the food choice Or what is the advice, and how long? I mean, I want to know if there's really tangible, something that I can see and gauge. Because let me just tell you this.
Okay.
I started juicing, right? And I juice with kale, spinach, cucumber, and I throw like a quarter of a banana in there. And I was doing that every day. And I have immense energy on a regular basis. I stopped doing it for 2 weeks. I couldn't make it through the day.
Now, do you want me to explain why?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Because the vegetables that you were using are all green vegetables, and they have a lot of chlorophyll in it. Mm-hmm. And I used to do one at the hospital, and I call it a chlorofusion. Uh-huh. So it's infusing your bloodstream with a lot of oxygen. Because when you have that chlorophyll, that's what it's doing. It's giving your body this boost of oxygen, and you don't experience a crash.
No.
There's no crash.
No.
Because you don't have all the extra sugar.
Love it.
The banana that you used actually gave you a bit of potassium, so it helped your muscles and all of that. But in helping your body have more oxygen, you're helping the blood flow and oxygen going to your brain. So therefore, that is really what energizes or controls everything. I liken it to a car engine, because most people can't understand until you do it. If you say a car, people understand it. If you say your body, they don't understand it. So the brain in the body is more like the engine in the car. The gasoline that you put in the car is the food. If you put a lower grade gasoline, your car is not going to work that well.
Yes.
The tubes that you have going through the car are the same as your bloodstream, the vessels and everything. So now if you are putting something in your body that's clogging it, you're not going to get the amount of energy that you need to go to the brain to make the body function and move the way it's supposed to. The same thing as the car. You put inferior stuff, or you put all these chemicals in, all these little minerals and stuff, the deposits that they have. What do? They tell you to put a higher grade so that now you don't have all the deposit buildup.
That makes absolute sense to me. It makes absolute sense. I just need to know, what vegetable do I put in my mix to make me lose weight?
Well, that's a whole bunch of vegetables.
Well, let me have the list. and we can just,
well, see, I knew you were going to ask
you knew
me.
I was going to come there.
Knew. So,
I was going to get some free advice.
We're on to segue into something else.
Yes.
We're on the NAMI. You're sitting right next to me on the NAMI.
Yeah, no, we're going to go to NAMI.
On the NAMI board. So it's not like this is the only place you're getting free advice. So it's like one of those things. But yeah, if you want to know specifically, like for weight, it's increasing the omega-3s. There's a doctor, he's a neurologist. He came out with a book. It's called Feed the Brain, Lose the Belly.
Okay. So
if you're feeding your brain, and your brain has more nutrients in it, and which also includes the good fats, which would be salmon, okay, which I know you love. We've already talked about that. Avocado, because you have the omega-3s. You have flaxseed.
Love that. It's in my shade.
Okay, so you can do the flaxseed. But you also want to increase your water.
Okay.
Your water intake should be half your weight in ounces.
Yes, I heard that.
Yes, and a lot of people hear that, but they don't do that. It's one thing to hear it.
Well, look at what Jeff drinks every day. Look at this massive thing that he drinks.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
8
awesome.
liters. 8 liters of water a day.
8 liters of water a day. But look at his physique.
I know where every
He's a guy.
Look at that physique.
All he's got to do is think weight loss, and it falls off of him.
But that's... The average person doesn't think, and they think, oh my gosh, I've got to drink all of this water. Well, if you eat vegetables and fruits that are more water based, then what you're going to do is that also increases your water intake, because a percentage of it is going to be water. So when I'm teaching people nutrition, I also tell them, okay, you can take these many ounces of fruit, and this is how much of that is actually equivalent to your water. So it takes a lot of math to do that. But I do that because the average person goes, well, I just don't feel like drinking that much water. A trick I teach people is also to drink with a straw. If you drink with the straw, it's not going to add the lines on your face. It's not going to do that. I drink with the straw all the time. Do you see any lines on my face? No, you don't.
You got something else going for you, girl.
So we know that too.
Just keeping it real.
We know that too. That's beside the point. But what you do is you drink with the straw, and what it does is you'll drink more water that way. It's something about going back to when you were a baby and you were sucking and that type of thing. That comfort thing. So you'll actually drink more. So if you eat the omega-3s, including your olive oil, that has some omega-3s, your coconut oil, coconut milk, That's going to give you some of your omega-3s as well as a whole bunch of other minerals and nutrients. And a little thing that I also like to tell people is coconut water actually has a lot of natural electrolytes. In third world countries, what they do is they will use it as a blood transfusion. It has so many electrolytes.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. They will use it
but
in
the scary part, because coconut water became this big fad, is that, you know, people want to make money, so they're just spitting it out. You don't know which ones are the good ones
I will
to get.
tell you which one is the good one to get, the coconut.
Yeah.
Oh. So I got to go home and struggle, and what do I do?
It's not called a struggle. You take a nail and a hammer, and you just hammer it into the ice.
Yeah.
The two little dots that's there.
Yeah.
And then you turn it upside down, and then the water will come out. How hard is that?
That's it. Okay, well, you break it down like that, Jeff. We can go get some coconuts, right?
You see, that's not hard. And then after it's all done, you can take the hammer, crack it open, put it in the oven, bake it a little bit, and take that out and eat it. Or you can mix it into your smoothie that you're having in the morning.
Really?
So now you have no waste.
Yeah.
So you just did that.
Yeah.
Another thing to help.
I'll go find a coconut today.
Yeah, that's what and you have the white one and you have also the brown one. The white one is going to be higher in carbs, I believe it is. I always get them confused. And the brown one is going to be more higher in like protein.
Okay, I'll look for the brown.
So the brown one is more the one you want because one has more carbs than the other one.
Trader Joe's should have some coconuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do have them over there. But going back to your question as far as losing weight, it's a matter of doing that, and you're doing everything right. But the other thing that people don't realize is how often should you eat?
Well,
what do they say?
They say you're supposed to eat 3 times a day, or every 4 hours, or something like that.
They say every 2 hours.
2 hours?
Every 2 to 3 hours.
That's I work.
However, that's a misnomer. It's not true.
Okay, good.
And the reason it's not true is because it takes approximately 4 hours for protein to digest. And digest means just your body breaking it down. It doesn't mean elimination. Okay. Now, so if you eat that and it takes 4 hours plus, depending on the meat. If you eat beef, that takes 24 to 48 hours to digest.
Got it.
Which is why it smells when you go to the bathroom because it's really rotted in your stomach. That's really the bottom line. That's just
pretty gross.
Well, that's just telling you what it does, which is why so many people end up with colon cancer and things like that because you had the food that's just sitting there and that's just sitting there.
Fermenting.
However, if you eat your fresh vegetables and fruits first, it has more fiber and it goes through like little Pac-Man. It goes through and it eats its way. You know all those deposits that we talked about? It'll go through and kind of clean out your tubes ahead of time so that now when you eat this other food, it just goes straight through your system.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you all about that with my shakes every day.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you do, that's the purpose of the shakes. But the thing is that what you want to do is depending on what you eat, it tells you when you need to eat next. And the more you keep your body flowing like that and eating like birds. You ever seen a real fat bird?
Never.
Have you seen how much they eat? All the time.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
So what you should be eating, how often you eat, depends on what you just ate. Got it. So it's not a system.
So what you're eating for breakfast will indicate how many hours you need to wait until you put some more food in your...
Exactly.
I mean, we have it backwards then, because we eat the heaviest food at night.
No, you shouldn't. No. You should do like Norway. I lived in Norway for a while. It's called middagsmat, midday meal. That's the heaviest meal of the day. Whatever your midday is, even if you're eating at night and you have a night shift, what is your middle of the day? That's your heaviest meal.
Nice. How
because now you still have time to burn off everything. And the order in which you should be eating your food is almost like they did where they had like a 7-course meal and you eat this and then you have this. That was the correct way of eating, not a vegetable, meat, and starch all together, because enzymes in your body are food specific. And if they're food specific, if you eat one thing, just those little Pac-Men are going to come out and they're going to eat what they need to eat, right? And then the next one comes out. Well, if you're in an office with people and you have a job to do and somebody takes the papers and they throw it all at you and say, okay, guys, go for it. You're going to be bumping into each other and nobody's going to know what to do.
Yeah, and everybody's not going to get all that they need.
And you're not going to be as efficient. Well, the enzymes in your body are the same way. So if you throw all this food in your body all at the same time, as opposed to one thing, then the next thing, and the next thing, they're going to be confused. So that's what's causing you not to lose the weight.
Charmaine, did you write a book?
Not yet, but I'm working on it.
You need to work on it.
That's what people are asking me for.
You need to work on it.
Yes.
I mean, that's a given. You know, it just boggles my mind that you can sit down with someone and you have the answers. Why is it so convoluted nationwide? Is it because people are just greedy and they always just trying to pitch their own little spin on stuff? Because it seems so easy. And I know that you know your stuff. I mean, your background alone, you know, indicates that you know your stuff. So it's like, why is it like the best kept secret?
Because people want to make money.
Yeah.
They're not about educating you. My impetus is first to educate you. Mm-hmm. And if I educate you, you'll buy my products anyway, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, so it's one of those kind of things that I can spend the time doing it, which is why we split the company up. Mm-hmm. We have the company now that focuses on nutrition and the brain mm-hmm. and getting to even abuse. We work with women with abuse. We work with the Love Is Foundation mm-hmm. for women who've been abused. Coercive abuse is one of the biggest things, which is the mental abuse.
Now, what is that exactly?
Coercive abuse is if I just keep telling you, oh, you don't look good, you're stupid, you're dumb. You know, men who control women by making them believe they can't do something, breaking them down. Mm-hmm. That's coercive abuse. Okay. That's the worst type of abuse. And that also comes under financial mm-hmm. because what they do is they take the money, make you give them the money. It's kind of what I call it is financial prostitution is what it is because they control the money, they control you. They don't have to hit you because they now have your control. But that changes the chemical makeup in your body. It makes the women look older. Mm-hmm. It makes them feel like they can't do anything. Oh, I can't do this. I have to ask him first. And that all is attributed to, you know, when you're depressed and you do that, you just eat anything you can that you feel that's giving you the gratification. Mm-hmm. Well, going back to the food industry, what they do is they put all these chemicals in the food. That's also a mind control too. Mm-hmm. So because it makes you want to eat more of that
We talked
food.
About this yesterday.
Sure did.
McDonald's put something in them fries back in the day.
Yes.
And those Doritos. Jeff came up with the whole thing of, you know, they did a study on the most addicting elements that they could put into
the perfect combination of fats and salts and everything to make you, it's like crack.
You're right. And the thing is speaking of Doritos, when I work with the regional center and I also, being special ed teacher, I also work with autistic children. Mm-hmm. And when I go out and I give those lectures, one of the things I talk about are Doritos and Cheetos. And the reason I do is Doritos and Cheetos, if you look at the ingredients and you do the research, you will find that they have 47 neuron inhibitors in them.
Wow. Every
single ingredient in there is a neuron inhibitor. So the children who gravitate towards that most are children who have something going on neurologically, so it keeps them suppressed. Mm-hmm. So if it's keeping them suppressed, I call it that it's dumbing down the population. Yeah. So the chemicals they're putting in the foods are actually dumbing you down, where it's kind of like the Pied Piper. Everybody is going along with it. Mm-hmm. However, you can counteract that, and you can counteract it with organic food. You can counteract it by eating something as simple as cilantro. Cilantro will pull all those minerals and chemicals right out of your brain.
Wow.
It'll pull it out. So will oil of oregano. Mm-hmm. That is, and you just need a couple of drops of that, especially if you get it from like Greece or one of the other countries not in the United States.
Yeah.
Well, I grow oregano in my yard. I'll just graze out there.
Yes, you just graze in your yard and add a little bit of cilantro to it.
I have those little tiny tomatoes, and then I've got the basil leaves right next to it. So I'm just out there
Are you really popping it? Are you really doing that? Yep. That's hysterical.
They never make it in the house.
That's one of the best ways to do it. And the tomatoes are going to give you your antioxidants, so that's also a brain food as well. So you're doing that with the lycopene and all the other stuff that I can throw out all the scientific names, but I choose not to because all you need is just simple knowing this is what it is, how it does it. You don't need to know the lycopene and the antioxidants and this. You just need to know this will help your brain because it adds oxygen. Oxygen, you understand. Yeah. You understand removing chemicals. That's what they do.
Now, how long does a kid have to eat cilantro to get all the Doritos out of him?
Well, that's probably a good question because it would depend on how long they've been eating the Doritos, you know. And there have been studies and people have said that because of all the chemicals that we generally have in our bodies, that you can, when your body dies, it probably won't decompose for something like 30 days, because you've already preserved it. And that's what people don't realize. When you're eating these chemicals, it's not nutrient dense. Your body can't function off of chemicals. So to me, and this is maybe the, conspiracy theorist.
Here we go.
You're in the right place. Yeah. You're in the right place.
Is that this is their way of controlling everybody. This is mind control.
It is. And if you combine that with all the celebrity nonsense, the Dancing with the Stars, the American Idol, and then you throw the sports in with that, it's to keep your mind off of all the damage that's going on in the world and every right that's being peeled away from you.
And that's exactly right. And that's why they throw all these reality shows out there and everything, because it's a smoke and mirrors.
Right.
Let you look at all of this stuff, because now you're entertained, and while you're being entertained, pop those Doritos in, pop this in. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to step back and go, well, what did my parents do? What did my grandparents do? What did my great-grandparents do? And that's what I'm doing. I call it bringing back your legacy. So that's what we do with my company, is we're bringing back the legacy. Nice. We're saying, this is what you do. I do cooking classes.
Nice.
So I show people how to cook, how I can take, the other day I took $25, and from that $25, I was able to show a family how they could feed a family of 4 for the entire week.
No, come on.
$25.
You can't do that with no $25.
Yes, you can.
Fresh?
Fresh.
Organic?
Yes.
You're kidding me.
Yes. You can do that.
Because I'm thinking, well, I can't go organic because I can't afford to,
but you
to
can't,
do my major shopping at Trader Joe.
Organic food is nutrient dense.
Right.
And because it's nutrient dense, your body soaks it up, but then your body is full. Think about a real rich, expensive chocolate. Can you eat a lot of that at one time?
Or cheesecake.
You go, oh, I can't eat anymore. Yeah. Well, nutrient dense food is the same way. Your body can only take so much of it because it's so dense. That's why they call it nutrient dense. When you're eating all these other chemicals, it's empty. So your body wants more.
More right away. You're so right on.
It's that. The other thing is I attribute weight gain in the population to the change in lunchtime. And what I mean by that is, how long was lunchtime years ago? How many minutes?
35.
No, it used to be an hour.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't take lunch now. Literally, I work all day. I don't take lunch. It's terrible.
And so do I. However, there's a method to my madness here. Okay. So follow the math.
Okay.
Follow the math. Follow me with the math.
With you.
Okay, you're with me. Okay, it used to be 60 minutes. So you had time if you wanted to go somewhere and get something to eat. You could leisurely eat. You could do whatever. You could sit and talk to your girlfriend.
Yes.
Lunchtime now is 30 minutes, right? How long does it take your brain to say that you're full? Do you know?
Mine doesn't say.
I mean, that wasn't the answer I was expecting.
I would say probably, if you're listening to your body, because I do know this from personal experience. If I listen to my body, and I mean, if I start eating because I know that I need to eat, and I listen to my body, I can know that I'm full or getting there in about 20 minutes.
That's correct.
If I'm starving, I don't ever know until all the food is gone, because I don't listen to that trigger.
And the example you just gave is exactly correct. Okay, without you knowing the numbers, it takes your brain 20 minutes to say I'm full. Well, if your lunchtime is only 30 minutes and you're running to a fast food place, and most of the businesses now, when you work for a corporation or something, you can't clock in more than 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after.
Yeah.
So you're going through the fast food places, you get your food, you're eating in the car, you're scoffing it down so that you can get back. Well, you've already lost time.
Yes.
So you actually eat more and you consume more than you need to, because your brain didn't say stop, because it doesn't have the time to do it.
It doesn't.
So what I'm trying to do is get people, cook your food at home, get someone like me to show you how to stretch that food to eat healthier, and then what you do is you make your lunch and you take it in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to the fast food places. If you stop going to the fast food places, they're going to have to change what it is that they're doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my thing there.
Yeah, they do. They have to.
So some of them are doing what they call their healthier versions.
Yeah.
However, if you read the label, even I went into the grocery store the other day, and a lot of people will go get the rotisserie chicken, right?
Yes.
Oh, look,
it's yummy.
It's very good. Did you ever read the label?
No.
Read the label.
Why? What did it do to the chicken?
Yeah, what did they do to the chicken? They add all those seasonings they put on there are chemicals.
Okay.
So when you read the label, it doesn't say chicken with lemon, lime, rosemary like you would think. It's got a whole bunch of this other stuff that's on there that I don't even know.
Yeah, if you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you think I'm eating healthier, and you're not. You're better off.
Eating a burger?
No.
Or it's similar?
Something similar. You're better off.
Get that George Foreman rotisserie and do it at home and put
Exactly.
your own stuff in it.
You see what I'm saying? Or just put it, make little patties in like a muffin tin and just put portions in there, because you can only get so much in there, which means that's a portion control. That's a way of doing portion control too. So if you use a muffin tin or any of the tins, because they have them in different sizes. I don't mean get the jumbo one where you only have 4.
I'm thinking I know a tin I could use.
Okay. Angelina, no, that's not the right one.
Yeah,
but
not
the
a
one
cake,
with the 12, or even better, the one with the 24.
Yes.
So that you have little poppers that you can pop in. And you can make that, and that's a portion. And that's real simple. Look at how many you can do at one time. If you take that, put your seasonings in, put it in the tin, put it in the oven, you've just cooked 12 at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, that cuts down on your time, everything. So you can make it more efficient. I just went last night to the store because I do the farmers markets now. So I'm at the Lancaster Boulevard.
That's important to know.
Lancaster Boulevard. I'm also at AV Winery. And today, when I leave here, I have to pack up to go to Northridge. So I'll be at the Northridge Mall as well on Wednesdays. And that's what we're doing, is we're actually going out. I'm showing people some of the products that I have. And speaking of which, I bought one for you to taste.
Okay, cool.
And this is one of my brain foods. And I'm going to have you to taste this one. And I'll tell you after you taste it what it actually is. I'm not going to tell you ahead of time. So I want you to taste it, and I want you to tell me.
It's baby food.
It looks like baby food, and it was made for kids.
Okay. It's a familiar taste.
Okay.
It tastes like plum is in it. It almost tastes like pumpkin is in it.
Okay.
And cinnamon.
Okay. Now I'll tell you what's in it. You were close.
Wait, there's something else. Honey?
No.
I want to take a chance.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
let him try too.
Let him.
That was one of my favorite hobbies with my mother when I was young. We'd
I can
find
take that
food
one
that
for
we
you.
liked.
If you want to pass that over to him and let him taste.
Thank you. Oh, my mom and I used to go and reverse engineer at restaurants.
Oh, yes.
I
Yes.
loved doing
I do that all the time. My daughters tell me to stop.
So what is it, Jeff?
Now you tell me. Jeff, what is it?
Tastes a little
Tastes
peachy
a little
too.
apple. I taste a little
apple.
Angelina was a little closer.
She was closer?
She's closer.
Okay, what's it?
Dates, prunes, and fig.
Oh, fig.
Really?
Yes, I call it daprufi.
Ooh.
That is so cool.
And what I do is I made that for kids. It's a brain food. All of those ingredients in there actually feed your brain, and it gives you fiber that you need.
Now, how would you give it to an 8-year-old? Because that, they don't tend to want to eat it like that.
That's as a substitute for jelly or jam.
Yeah,
Got
I was going to say
it.
spread it on some bread.
Got it.
That's
Instead
a
of Nutella or
substitute for
something.
jelly or jam. I sell out of that. Parents come
That's
to
nice.
get it, and there's no gluten in it. And so therefore, parents who have children who are gluten intolerant or children who have autism or anything like that, I created it specifically for children.
Now, I know I want to talk to you about NAMI.
Right.
We're sitting on the board together. That's
Yes.
how we met.
Yes.
Before we jump into NAMI, can we take a break?
Yeah, but before I said that, I wanted to say to her, now
I just messed you up.
you messed me up. So we'll go ahead and take the break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. You know me, Jeff.
I'm sorry. It threw
gone
you
in
right
a
off the
second.
tracks. With a penny on the railroad tracks.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening to the #1 talk radio show in the Antelope Valley, avnews.com. and we'll be back in a moment.
Chronic Beats.
Hi, I'm JD Kennedy, a Marine Corps veteran with 3 deployments to Iraq, and I'm running for state assembly. I served as Congressman McKeon's Veteran Affairs Representative, and I'm a member of Operation All the Way Home, board member of the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm the president of LA County Air Show. As your assemblyman, I'll fight to create jobs in our community and to keep criminals off our streets. Our problems can be fixed with simple, common sense answers, but we need new leadership in Sacramento. My name is JD Kennedy. I fought for you 3 times in Iraq. Vote for me on June 3rd. Send me to Sacramento. I'll fight for you there. Visit my website, kennedyforassembly.com, and follow me on Facebook.
Hello, I'm Tom Lackey, your experienced conservative candidate for the State Assembly in the Tuesday, June 3rd election. As a retired Highway Patrol Sergeant and Antelope Valley resident since 1996, I served as a school board and city council member for 14 years. As your Assembly representative, I'll stand up for our shared values. The record shows I work to solve problems, not create them. With your help on June 3rd, we can break the far-left supermajority in Sacramento and stop the bleeding of our jobs. I'm Tom Lackey, your experienced candidate.
There's a school in Palmdale that's become the talk of the town. It's called the Guidance Charter School, and many parents say it's magical. The Guidance Charter School is WASP accredited, scored 783 in academic performance, and has an educational curriculum that exceeds the state of California standards. The curriculum is enriched through age-appropriate exposure to information technology, art, foreign language such as Arabic, and physical education. The Guidance Charter School has a winning CIF sports program with soccer, basketball, cross country, volleyball, swimming, cheerleading, and more. An open enrollment, free tuition school, publicly funded. They've been in business for 12 years and are fully approved by the Palmdale School District. The Guidance Charter School has small classroom environment, 20 students in grades K through 3, 25 students in grades 4 through 8, and no more than 30 students in grades 9 through 12. Call the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. That's the Guidance Charter School in Palmdale at 661-285-1600. And check out their website at thegcs.org. A better high school choice.
Antelope Valley residents, this is Assistant Sheriff James Helmold seeking your vote for sheriff. As a 25-year veteran of the department, I'm not a politician. I'm a crime fighter committed to keeping our neighborhoods safe. I will ensure your sheriff's department is responsive to the Antelope Valley, not a one-size-fits-all approach from downtown Los Angeles. Let's also expand community involvement and youth outreach to ensure future success. I'm proud to be endorsed by both mayors and councils, local churches, and community groups. This is your sheriff's department. Please vote James Helmold for sheriff.
Hello, neighbors. This is Mayor Jim Ledford, and I'd like to tell you about Steve Knight. Steve has been our councilman and our legislator for the past 9 years. Steve has been a staunch supporter of lower taxes and creating a better environment for job growth. That is why Steve is endorsed by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Please stand with me and Supervisor Mike Antonovich in supporting Steve Knight as our next congressman.
Chronic Beats.
Back to AVNewsCast.com.
And we're live with Mama Vega, and we were just going to ask her the tough question, and that is, what is the deal with gluten? I mean, is it something that we really need to be paying attention to?
Yes, you should. Actually, there's a magazine that's called Wheat Belly.
Wheat Belly.
Wheat Belly.
Okay.
And what it does is it talks about the wheat and why your body's not breaking it down and what it is. And I knew you would ask me that question, so that's why I quickly this morning when I jumped out of the shower, I was like, I got it. I know she's going to ask me that question, and here's the connection. People who usually have lactose intolerance also have a sensitivity to gluten. It's already been shown scientifically. And the connection between those two and your question is that they both have a protein that's difficult for the body to break down.
Okay.
So if the body's not able to break this down, it'll manifest in different ways. So gluten intolerance, it's almost like an allergic reaction. And there are my grandchildren actually can't have gluten because, well, my grandson can, but my granddaughter can't. And it'll start closing up her throat. We have to have an EpiTap pen. in order for us to get her to the hospital. I mean, that's how severe it is in some people. And she's all, the baby didn't get that, but the baby got the lactose intolerance. So you can clearly see that it's a little of both, that it's a protein that your body is having a difficult time breaking down. And like I said, that's really the crux of it. And there's studies now that have been done as late as last year and March of this year, where they call it a neuroimmune disorder. Because now what it does is it attacks your immune system and your nervous system. And the nervous system is also a part of the brain and all of that. So now if all of that's connected, you see how the nutrition component and those things that get into your body or make your body have a difficult time breaking it down, you're going to gain the weight. So that answers the question too.
Yeah, it reminds me of Lorenzo's oil.
Yes,
it reminds me of that.
That's exactly what it is.
Instead of the myelin sheath, it's something else.
It's something else, and so it's not really just a fad. As a matter of fact, I ran into a chef in here, and I'm going to be doing some things together on Lancaster Boulevard, and he was like, "Oh, I think that gluten thing is just a fad." I said, "Don't go there with me. I have 2 grandchildren who get deathly ill from that."
But before they came up with the name gluten, what did they call kids that had those kind of reactions?
They just said it was an allergy. It's an allergic reaction. They didn't
and just
know.
Stop. And if it was triggered by food, just don't.
They just don't give them that food. They
Okay.
They didn't coin a name for it.
Now, what is gluten? Is it from flour? What is it?
It's flour.
Oh,
it's
it is flour.
It's the
Yes.
protein that's in. Go ahead.
It's the protein that makes it chewy. It makes the bread. That's why the really good pizza crust is the one with
to
the
make
high
it
gluten
rise
content.
and gooey. And if you get the real good bread when you like it, it's nice and soft, and you can pull it and do all of that.
Sourdough.
Well, just think about how that does in your body. That's.
I don't think about it.
I know you don't think. I'm
just eating it.
But speaking of sourdough, sourdough bread is really good. But you can get buckwheat sourdough, and buckwheat is gluten free.
I have a buckwheat pillow.
You have a buckwheat what?
Pillow,
yes. But buckwheat doesn't have gluten in it.
Where do you get food like this? I mean, what kind of store has buckwheat?
Yeah, there's no Whole Foods in Bonneville.
Sourdough.
Well, you can go to, I'm not sure. The Whole Wheatery would have buckwheat flour. Vaughn's may have it.
Really?
Trader Joe's would. Well, they have buckwheat pancake flour mix. So, if you go there. And the other thing is that as a community, you have to start demanding these things.
Yes.
If they don't see a demand for it, I was appalled the other day. I went into, and I'm sorry, this is my theory here. This is the conspiracy that I'm doing here. I went to Superior, and I went to places like Food for Less, and I just looked at their cereals.
Oh, yeah.
And the cereals they have are all sugar. You don't see anything that's a healthy cereal on the shelf at all.
No.
I was appalled. But if you go to some of the others, I went to Whole Foods that's in Valencia. They have an entire row. The whole row is nothing but gluten-free foods, crackers, this, whatever the entire aisle. The whole aisle.
Yeah, we need a whole.
You see what I'm saying?
Here, or Whole Wheatery.
And Cheryl over at the Whole Wheatery does an excellent job about bringing the correct food to the valley here. She's done it for many years, so I kudos to her. I love what she does, and I do know her personally. And her staff is well trained in providing that service. And
because you have tons of information. You have great points. I respect it all. But if I go into Trader Joe's, it's all Chinese. Like, you don't know. Okay, like so today. Okay, I'm gonna go and get some coconuts.
Call me to come go
right,
with
I
you.
need to go with you. Especially if I could shop for 4 kids for 4 people for $25.
I can show you how. Last night I went. Where did we go? We went to, I think it was Stater Brothers. Stater Brothers has chicken breasts with the bone in on sale for 99 cents a pound. Okay? I went there because when I do the Northridge, the Lancaster Boulevard, when I do Lancaster Boulevard tomorrow, I will have my barbecue sauce and chicken and everything to sample it out with. And I'm marinating it right now in a Worcestershire sauce that I make from fresh tamarind.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff that I'm showing people. And so I got 2 packages for $10. You see what I'm saying? I mean, and it was like maybe 5 breasts in each one. So that's 10 breasts.
Yeah.
That's $10 right there. Now you take some other fresh vegetables and you add with it, but from that, I can actually make, you can do tacos, you can do a chicken salad.
Now, do you eat gluten-free?
Most of the time I do.
So what kind of shells are you using?
I use rice cakes and I put avocado on it.
Okay.
And that's a snack.
Like a tostada.
And instead, and I use that as my tostada shell. That's what I do.
Okay.
I use that. I use rice, and you can do a pizza on top of that. The rice. And today, when we sample out a lot of the stuff, we're going to use these little rice chips that I found. You go to some of the Asian markets, and the Asian markets have bags of the little rice chips and stuff.
Nice.
So you
nice
can,
alternative.
So you can substitute for that. Corn is gluten free. So if you do a corn chips.
Nice.
So those are gluten free. But I would say make your own. Just take it, mix it with some water, some vegetable juice or whatever you want, and put it in the oven, bake it, and crack it.
Come on, stop it.
How hard is that? What's hard about that? That smoothie that you have in the morning that you blend up and everything, save some of that.
So throw corn in the blender
and just mix it up and pour it out, and then just bake it and then crack it up into your chips. And
I'll try it. I don't know.
You see what I'm? Well, or just blend the smoothie. Take the cornmeal.
Yeah.
Okay, take the cornmeal, put it in a bowl, right? Dump the smoothie in it. Mix it up till you get the right consistency that you want, till it sticks together.
Yes.
Right, and then smooth it out on a cookie sheet. Bake it, and then cut it up, and those are your chips.
Okay, I'll try that.
How hard is that?
Not hard sounding.
That's not hard.
No.
You see, but now you don't have all the extra chemicals. Because when you read what's on there, even though I'm saying corn chips, you have to look for the right corn chips. And that's another whole thing. We would have to get into Monsanto and everything else, and I don't want to do that on this particular show. But that's what you do. So you have to think that. Now, going back to the chicken, if you take that same chicken, because it has the bone in it, you take those bones, you boil them, now you have your broth for some type of soup, right? And you can take some beans. You can buy a bag of beans, a pound of beans, for, say, $1, right? But that's also a protein. You don't need the chicken and the beans in the same meal.
Okay, that's a good meal, though.
Just like you don't need the chicken, the beans, the rice, and some cheese in a burrito.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I know that's what people do, but look at how much more protein that is that the body doesn't need. You only need 4 ounces.
A meal?
A meal.
Okay. 4 ounces of protein.
4 ounces. That's all you really need. That's not that much.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that perspective, or almonds, some of your nuts are your protein. Brussels sprouts have proteins in Brussels sprouts. Your vegetables have small traces of protein in them as well. So you're still getting protein from other sources, not just the meat. When people think I have to have meat.
I'm gonna call you on it.
Okay.
I'm gonna take $100.
Okay.
I want to know your availability. We're gonna go to Trader Joe's and teach me some stuff.
Okay. We'll do
that. I really would love to. My daughter needs to know how to eat well.
Okay.
And the grandkids.
Yes.
Everybody needs.
Everybody needs to know. That's
everybody
right.
does.
Everybody needs to know.
So let's talk about NAMI.
Yes.
We both sit on the board now. We were recently invited as board members, and it's an exciting thing. I don't have the background that you do, but I did have an aunt that's schizophrenic, and it was difficult growing up being able to handle what she might possibly throw our way. And so that was a motivating factor for me. You've got a tremendous motivating factor in the fact that you believe that the nutrition and mental illnesses, if you deal with it on that level, there can be different results.
That's exactly right. And that's also been shown but first, why don't we say what NAMI stands for?
Go ahead.
And NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Right.
And it's a national organization, and we're part of the chapter that's actually here locally, is what that is. So people need to understand. But yes, back many years ago, I believe it was during World War I, they realized that even gardening has an impact on a person's brain. And when people came back from the war and they had the PTSD and all of those type of things, they got them involved in the gardening to do that in order to help that. Then they started feeding them some of the food. So this goes back. This is not a new thing.
Right.
Like what you said, why is this such a big secret?
Right.
It's a secret because it's so simple to do. And if everybody knew how simple it was, nobody would be making money.
Right.
Because it's all
That's
about
the
them
truth.
making
Just like
money.
with exercising.
Exactly.
The whole gardening thing, anyway, it's not just the psychological benefits, the relaxation that you get from being out there. But I think a lot of the problems we have with autoimmune diseases today are because we're not dirty enough. Like getting out there and playing in the dirt gives your body something to fight instead of itself. I mean, it's got the psychological benefits, it's got the immune benefits. It's a wonderful thing. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do.
You're absolutely correct. Going back to the Native American and the tradition there, if you understand that the palms of your hand and the soles of your feet are actually from the Indians, not only American Indians, but Indians from India, they call those the chakras. You have chakras there, or that's where you have points where things go in and out of your body from that point, because that's the opening.
Okay. Well, really?
Yeah. And so therefore, well, think about it. What do they tell you? Make sure you clean your hands because you can get that. Well,
that's because you put your hands to your mouth.
No, that's not the only reason. It's because your hand is also like a sponge.
Really?
So therefore, anything that goes onto your hand can go into your bloodstream.
Yeah, they always
your body is a sponge.
Did you hear those stories? You never want to. Somebody had acid. You never want to handle that.
That's exactly right.
The LSD would absorb into your system.
No,
yeah.
You got those whole stories in high
I had no
school.
friends that did acid.
Oh,
Jeffrey?
Yeah, you didn't grow up with me, I guess.
No, we didn't have that. But the thing is that's why you'll see now at cash registers they're wearing gloves.
Yeah, I was wondering what's the deal with that.
Because money is one of the dirtiest things you can possibly touch, and so if somebody has something on their hands or whatever, they cough and they put it goes into your bloodstream. So, getting back to what Jeff was saying, that if you're gardening and stuff, the natural soil and the organic stuff, it has the ability to pull toxins out of your body and out of your feet. In the Asian countries, they have this thing that you can put in the soles of your shoes, and you wear it around, and at the end of the day, it'll be black.
I've seen the ads.
Because it's pulling the toxins out of your body. Because
I didn't know if it was real, though.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's real. It actually will do that. Well, the same thing is if you're walking barefoot, it does the same thing. If you're walking around dirt or anything like that, I wouldn't necessarily do it here in the AV because we have all these prickly things and all kinds of.
But in your grass.
But in your grass. But if you do that, it'll help pull the toxins out. Just even if you're planting, if you have the kids or something just playing in the soil, it's going to help pull those toxins out of the body.
Interesting.
So if you just do some of these little simple things. I know at the farmer's market they have he has organic soil, and it's made from worms. It's from worm
casings.
The worm casings, yes.
Best fertilizer in the world.
It's the best fertilizer in the world. The absolute best. It's all organic.
What does it look like? Did they grind it up? It
looks just like regular soil, but it's very dense. Your stuff will grow like you wouldn't believe. Yep. I forgot the name of the company, but they're on Lancaster Boulevard, and they're at the winery.
Worm casings.
It's worm casings.
Okay. That's why you got to love those earthworms out there.
Yes. So earthworms, they
never
help.
harm an earthworm.
He's absolutely correct. It's some of the best, but that soil in and of itself, it actually will pull all those toxins out. So just playing in the soil can help your system. Doing gardening, out there in it, it's going to help your immune system tremendously. And then if you're eating some of that same stuff, and there's also a difference when things are said to be organic versus heirloom. And the difference in that is organic, you don't know if that means the seeds were organic or the soil was organic. Heirloom means the seeds have not been genetically modified, so it goes back to its natural state, the way it originally was. It hasn't been altered in any way.
Okay.
Those seeds cost a little bit more, but overall, it's better for you. No, you can't do it 100% starting out, but you can gradually add stuff a little bit at a time, and then you'll see a difference. Just like you said, when you do the smoothies, you feel and see a difference, and then when you come off, you don't. And that goes to show you the clarity in your brain.
Oh, absolutely.
Is the whole
thing.
I
think I'll be addicted to those shakes for the rest of my life.
And that's what and you can change them depending on what fruit you put in, how you do it, all of those kind of things. And that's why I said I'm glad for NAMI, and I'm glad NAMI wants both of us on the board. Because they're here to make a difference as well, and along the same lines, my company also, we in addition to abused women, we deal with veterans as well. So we are the parent company now is also a corporation, and we incorporated as a veteran company.
Nice.
So we are veteran owned as well. So
you've got a lot going on.
So we're trying to get to the veterans, abused women, and children.
Now, the mental health factor that you directly pull from the nutrition, why did that become important to you?
It became important to me because of the special ed component and me recognizing that that's our future. Children are our future, just like the song says. And if we don't take care of the children, we will have no future. And the children these days they're so entrenched with fast food because many of the generation just before us, they did everything right. We kind of did it right. And our children now have gotten engrossed in fast food. I need it now with all the games and this. And so now our grandchildren are to the point, I need it even faster. Well, the interest for me is that if somebody doesn't slow them down in some kind of way and show them, you can still get fast food slowly. And what I mean by that is that it's very simple if I show you how to do it. If I show you how to do this, you then have all that extra time. So it's really time that someone is looking for and they don't know how to do it. But they think the microwave is the best thing, and it's not. It changes the chemical makeup of everything. However, if you take that same chicken, and I've done the time, you go and you sit in the line at one of these fast food places. The amount of time you spend, the gas you spend, it's cheaper for you to have gone to the store and done your groceries and have that food cooked and prepared in stages and even frozen in the refrigerator. Take it out of the freezer, put it in your refrigerator so that now when you come home, you can just pop it in the oven. So it's a matter of strategizing, and understanding
your time.
Understanding
absolutely,
time.
and not buying into the public hysteria of McDonald's and so forth. Now, in regards to mental health issues and nutrition, do you find that if someone that was, for instance, depressed or bipolar, if they ate a certain types of food?
Absolutely.
And I mean, you're not, of course, saying don't be on your medication.
But
are you aligning certain foods to making you feel better if you are suffering from any of these conditions?
Yes, and that's exactly what I've done. Yes, I've actually worked with people to say it could be something as simple as an herbal tea. It could be certain foods or combinations of foods.
Funny that she says an herbal tea. Herbal tea,
exactly. But and even wines, like you and I were talking about before.
Like the 8 ounces.
Here she goes with the 8 ounces. I keep telling her it's 4 ounces. 4 ounces.
Yeah, you don't want to fill my jug up with wine.
Right. No. But depending on the wine, because some wines are made where it's almost like a brandy. So brandies can remember. When you were growing up, if you got sick or something, what would my grandmother at least would give me they would make a tonic, right?
Yes.
Or a toddy, a hot toddy. And what was it? It was tea with some type of wine in it, right? Or cognac.
Brandy.
Or brandy or something. They would put that in. Well, it's the same type of thing. And they understood those things. They understood how that worked. There's so many things out there that you can do. I'm now making floral essences and stuff from different plants and stuff that are right here in the Antelope Valley. And the reason I'm doing that because that helps the immune system. The local honey helps the immune system because that's the bees and everything that's here. I mean, it's all symbiotic relationships with all of these things. We're a part of the whole environment. So if you take from what's in your environment and you use it, I didn't bring it with me today, but most people don't even know how many farms we have that's actually here in the Antelope Valley and how much is grown that's here. We have Asian pears, we have peaches, plums.
Onions. I know about the onions.
Yeah, we have onions. And I will say Wheeler Farm, they have the best onions around. But yes, we have so much stuff that's right here, but yet people don't take advantage of it. Even on 47th Street in Palmdale, they have a farmer's market that's there on Saturdays and Sundays. It's the swap meet, but they have some of the farmers that's there. Little Rock, you have all the stone fruits and everything.
You're just filled with so much information. I mean, we should do a whole week. If people want to find out more about you, more about your product, talk to them about how they can get more information.
Well, one thing would be showing up and tracking me down on Lancaster Boulevard.
Right.
That's one way. AV Winery, which is on Saturdays. Lancaster Boulevard is Thursday. Northridge Mall is Wednesday. Aside from that, they can go to mamavega.com.
There you go.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on
She's a
Pinterest.
wealth of information. I mean, just if you have any questions about anything that she's brought up today, hit her up on any of those streams or go visit her booth.
Yes.
Because this is amazing stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate
We
that.
so appreciate you coming out.
I like the Lancaster Boulevard idea versus the website thing because you're getting exercise and everything that way too. And
yes, and
you
they
might
do
go home with a full bag of.
And they do have exercise going on there. And on Lancaster Boulevard, one of the things they've